It is exactly 2 minutes after 9 o'clock. That does mean we're running a little late with the news. We'll take that in about 5 minutes' time. First up, we need to talk about the Dark Lords in South Africa are at it again, which means, of course, we have rolling blackout stage 6. Unbelievable. It just kind of puts everybody's lives in limbo. So, following the blackouts, apparently President Ramaphosa is scheduled to fly back from London today after attending the Queen's funeral. He will not be going to the States because he believes there is a crisis back home. I wonder what he's going to do. Is it necessary for him to be here? Is he going to come back and flick a switch and we're going to be back to normal as far as our electricity woes are concerned? I don't know. We've been having very mixed reactions to the statement that he is coming back home to address the situation. The last time around, too, he cut short a trip to be back home. It didn't make a difference. But let's hear from Phapano Phasha, Anti-Poverty Forum South Africa, about the situation. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Morning to you and your listeners.
Okay, you have some thoughts about President Ramaphosa coming back home. Do you think it's going to make a difference? And where do you stand on the issue as Anti-Poverty Forum South Africa regarding stage 6 blackouts? There's a possibility. There are people suggesting we are almost being pushed into code red, and that is dangerous territory to be in.
Thank you again. I think the first thing that I want to say is that as South Africans, with our colonial history, we must bow our head in shame that our president was going to attend funeral service of a monarch that is known to have enslaved and colonized us. But coming to load shedding, it's quite evident that the president does not have a clue on what needs to be done with Eskom. But I think the crisis at hand is primarily because we've got a president who's also a business person. We do know that with this load shedding, there are business people who have been making a lot of money. As we speak, Eskom is burning, and as experts are saying, Eskom is burning more than 500 million liters of diesel. Now, who are the people behind this diesel service providers at Eskom? So I think primarily we are not asking the right questions. We know, and I have been speaking to managers at different power stations who are saying that Eskom can be saved. They are saying that load shedding can be stopped. They are saying that they know what needs to be done. For example, they've been saying that this current administration has not been servicing power stations. So as Anti-Poverty Forum, our logical conclusion is that Eskom is being deliberately sabotaged, that load shedding is benefiting a few business people, and the likelihood is that these business people are people who are associated with our president.
So how do we move forward on this matter? You know, we've had in the past, we've seen all sorts of protest action. The moment the fuel price goes up or food prices go up, there are protests, people take to the streets. What do we do in this situation? I too have read reports that there are a few business people that are benefiting from these rolling blackouts. But in the interim, they are crippling our country. People are on their knees already. How do we move forward? People seem to have lost obviously trust in the ANC government completely. The country has been in a mess since the ANC has taken over. Where and how do we move forward? What are the answers? It doesn't seem as if anybody can come up and give us an answer. There's talk that as soon as Ramaphosa lands in South Africa, they're going to make the CEO, the current CEO, Andre de Ruyter, is going to be the fall guy. They're going to fire him. Is that going to answer any of our problems?
Well, on the question of the ANC, I think there's a lot of strides that the African National Congress has made. But unfortunately, what we are faced with is capital-controlled politics. I think as one of the few progressive media houses, one of the questions that we should ask is why is Eskom losing money to international crime syndicates like your Glencore? Because with Eskom, as much as we speak of incompetence, as much as we are saying there are massive rollouts which are obviously affecting all of us, the reality is that you've got profiting conglomerates which are making money from Eskom. And we're not asking those questions. We're not also asking why are those companies which funded the president are still doing business with Eskom. We have not even asked why, as South Africans, we are not taking over entities like Eskom. But what is evident, we've asked the question, why are we not marching? Why are we not doing anything? Unfortunately, the media or the mainstream media sets the agenda. With the previous administration, we knew that the media would speak and society would follow. Unfortunately, it's not happening. We're not hearing a lot of noise about Andre Director or Bolhauser or the mismanagement and sheer incompetence at Eskom, or the fact that SAA was sold for 57 rands. So it's that power of the media that is controlling the narrative and which has the power to define. But there is a lot that I believe can be done. For now, civil society movements like ourselves and progressives, even within the ruling party, must stand up. Unfortunately, what we're not having, unlike with Jacob Zuma's administration, is that you're not having a lot of people within the ANC speaking up against this administration. And what we are being told is that some of the ANC members, some of the leaders of the ANC are afraid to speak up because if they do, there is all likelihood that state agencies will go after them. So you're having all this predicament that one, as much as we as ordinary South Africans are suffering, business is making a lot of money. They are laughing all the way to the bank. So that is the contradiction with South Africa today. The poor and working class are feeling the pinch, and big business is laughing all the way to the bank, as I've said.
So what is the answer? Phapano, my final question to you this morning. You represent Anti-Poverty Forum in South Africa. Undoubtedly, the poorest of the poor are absolutely reeling. People like you and I are still able to put food on the table, but not for much longer if things continue playing out the way they do. Something has to give. And what is that something? Nobody seems to know the
Well,
answer. Nobody seems to
we,
have the
we,
will to do something about it.
look, we have to remove the sitting president. There's a pala. No one is acting on it. He's sitting with dollars, stacks and stacks of dollars when our people are in poverty and degradation. And as we speak, as you ask that question now, Eskom is also asking for a tariff hike of more than 35%. We are in the dark. We are not being electrified. And Eskom is still asking for a tariff hike. So we seriously have a problem. It means that we have to go out there and we mobilize because we do not have the luxury to mourn. We need to remove this oligarch administration. We need to ensure that corporations are not controlling and dictating us. Because you're speaking of food hikes. Who is in control of food distribution, of food supply? Farmers are not making money. Retailers are making billions as we speak.
Okay, Phasha, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. I'm very, very late with the news this morning. Undoubtedly, we will pick up with you another time. Keep that flag flying as high as you possibly can. It is 11 after 9 o'clock. Let's cross over directly to Zaid Jadwat with huge apologies for being so very late. He's already late for his paper this morning. So, Assalamu alaikum to you, Zaid, and please go straight into the news.
Yes, indeed, your top stories at 11 after 9 is the